There he is. Nice. Hello. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight on stage.
Do you want to see multiple or just you?
I might need to see multiple.
Okay.
How am I going to get you back up here if I have problems?
Do you have your phone?
Yeah, it's nearly dead. Do you have a charger over there?
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can see you.
I cannot hear you right now. By the way, this session is being recorded, Kim. It's not to put you on record, but it's just for people miss the session. They can watch it later. Don't worry, I'm not going to hold anything against you. You can say whatever you want.
Believe me.
All right, so a couple announcements, folks. You heard from the winemaker Kim himself, and we'll get to him in a second. But just a few announcements before we get to the wine and the winemaker. Case Cup closes tomorrow. So for all the wines from last month that we tasted from last month, which is the weirdo pool party box that we did, all those wines, there's some really killer chocolate and frappato and some other really cool summer reds and whites and rosés in there. So check it out. And if you want to participate, put your orders in now, I would say, because I'm going to close that at noon tomorrow. So get your orders in now if you're interested in picking up some wines from last month. On that note, I sent out this email yesterday, but DC is about to get our annual allocation of Matassa, Demore, and Falkenstein. These are very, very small, very hard to get wines. The allocation gets smaller every year. It gets snatched up as soon as it lands in the market, but we have a chance to kind of put in our request. So if you are interested in participating in this allocation, check the email. And if you don't have that email, let me know so I can send it to you again. But get that into me ASAP. Sooner the better. It will all go out in a first come, first served basis. And then your request is not confirmed until the order is confirmed. And then I'm submitting my order on the 20th, next Wednesday. So you have till next Wednesday to get your request in. But I would say, again, the sooner the better, because if it's all going to be first coming, first served. So check it out. And if you want to participate, let me know. Last but not least, 6 Foot Wine Club is committed to donating 1% of its annual month's revenue to an organization whose mission statement aligns with our values. And this month I have chosen Climate Right. And in case the name sounds familiar, is the organization that I do my annual cycling trip with. I'm going to Chile in January to raise $4,600 for this organization. But if you want to donate alongside 6 Foot Wine Club, i.e., again, also August is my birth month, so this is a time for my shameless self-solicitation. Instead of buying me a birthday glass of wine, I would love it if you donate to this cause.
When's your birthday?
17th is my birthday.
Okay.
So it's coming up. So if you want to help me go to Chile and ride bike in Chile, I would appreciate it. So, but it's all for a good cause anyways, for environmental work. And I'm sure we're going to talk about climate change and what's happening in Texas. So it's all part of that. So donate if you can. Besides that, I don't really have any other questions or any other announcements. Does anybody have any questions about the allocation or the case club or climate ride or anything before we get to the wine and the winemaker? All right, hearing none. Let's get to the meat and potato portion of the night, which is the wine, and even more so, even more importantly, Kim McPherson, the winemaker himself. But first of all,
it's exciting. I see all these bottles, and I don't know where they are, but they're not in Texas. It's very cool.
Yeah, we got, just so you know, Kim, by the way, we got folks from Florida, DC, the rest is in DC. But yeah, we got some, but we have a Austin native over there. So we got some folks from Texas representation in here as well. Anyways, we're tasting 2020 McPherson
Lahey
Cellars.
Vineyards, Grenache,
There you go. McPherson Cellars,
and the Purnell block.
Lahey Vineyards, Portla
Purnell
block,
block, yeah.
Grenache is what we're fixing today. But even more so than the wine itself, I want to introduce you to Kim McPherson, the myth and the legend. Kim is somebody that I have been, well, before we get into all of that, let me just read you, in case you're not familiar with who Kim is, let me read you a quick bio to kind of introduce him to you. Kim McPherson is an award-winning owner and winemaker of McPherson Cellars in Lubbock, Texas, and one of the most influential voices of American winemaking. The son of Texas wine pioneer Clint Doc McPherson, Kim earned a degree in food nutrition science from Texas Tech University, studied enology and viticulture at UC Davis, and apprenticed in Napa Valley during his wine renaissance. Returning to Texas in the late 1970s, he crafted wines for Llano Estacado and Calf Rock Winery before founding McPherson Cellars in 2000 as a tribute to his father. Specializing in Rhone, Spanish, and Italian varietals, many of which he introduced to Texas, Kim has garnered over 800 national and international medals, twice been on James Beard Award semi-finalist, and was named among the top 100 most influential winemakers in the US. He sustainably farmed small batch wines, including signature releases like Sangiovese, Viognier, and Picpoul Blanc, are celebrated for expressing the distinct terroir of Texas High Plains and are available in Texas, Maryland, Virginia, DC, and now of recent New Jersey.
In New Jersey and New York.
And New York.
And Pennsylvania.
But also on a personal note, I became aware of McPherson Cellars, Kim's wines, about more than 10 years ago at this point, just about 10 years ago when I ran an all-American wine program at Stanton and Green in DC. And ever since then, I have been admiring his work from distance. And this is my first time actually meeting him, or even just virtual. So it's quite an honor. I'm very excited to host you tonight. And so without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Kim McPherson of McPherson Cellars. Welcome to the show, Kim.
Thank you, and I appreciate it. I mean, this is a real honor to. During the pandemic, we did a lot of these with Andrew, so I really appreciate that, and welcome. I don't know if you ever come down here to Texas, please come by the winery. But I know y'all may have a lot of questions. I will say that my little brother's a winemaker in California. My daughter lives in Napa, and for a lack of better terms, she is the brand ambassador for Harlan Estates. So she is one of the ones that keeps us in line with how we do, and our everything we do here is up and up. Our glasses, our tasting room. We just got through winning USA Today's. We're in the top 10 tasting rooms in the United States.
Oh, congratulations!
We're not a big winery. We're small. We probably do 10,000 cases. We do not do Bordeaux. We do not do Burgundy. We do not do any cool climate fruit, cold climate. I guess the coldest climate one would be the Albarino. And I was telling Hoon earlier that it's more of a Portuguese style. It's I want to call it a thicker style. It's not like from the Iberian Peninsula where it's got acid. It's good. It's very beautiful. And so that's our one big thing. Other than that, it's all warm and climate stuff. Mourvedre, Grenache, Syrah, Petit Syrah, Alicante Boucher, all these ones I'm naming off are in the block series. We do a Dolcetto every now and then. We do a Montepulciano. Sangiovese, though, is my flagship red, which my dad planted here in 1983. And it's his vineyard now is a state historic site. If you come into Texas, you can go see it. So we concentrate on the warmer stuff that works here. I'm a huge sort of a French wine law guy that, if it doesn't work, there's a reason they don't grow, Tempranillo in Bordeaux. there's a reason they don't do this in Burgundy. So, do I drink Pinot Noirs? Yes. I've been an international wine judge for 35 years, and it's always like, you got to judge the Pinot Noirs. Well, I'd rather judge Mourvèdres. But it's one of our things that we've done here, and we've created a niche here, and I'm so happy to see all you people just you hold up the bottle and they go, God, we bottled that here. So I love it. And if y'all have any questions, please, here I am. I'm wide open.
Amazing, amazing. Yeah, you have been very open with me. Kim and I did a little bit of like just an introduction half an hour before the call, and then you can tell that Kim's just very open, forthcoming. So yeah, really, if you guys have any questions, he's the right person to ask. But I gotta be careful here, Kim. But before we get into Texas and all of that, cannot really talk about Texas without talking about your dad. And again, I gotta be careful here because I don't want to paint you as somebody, nobody wants to hear that living in the shadow of their own father and all of that. And I would argue that you are a pioneer in your own right within Texas. But can you take us back to who your dad was?
Sure, I'd love to. My dad was
in Texas?
He was we are the home of Texas Tech University. Patrick Mahomes, Ludwig Oberg, the golfer, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, my dad was a chemistry professor at Texas Tech, and my mother taught graduate level nutrition. And so we grew up in a university town, and my dad, back in 1968, planted a vineyard that had over 140 different varieties in it, from hybrids to Native American to vinifera. And
I'm sorry, did you say 140 different varieties?
140 different varieties.
Jesus.
And
Okay.
he had everything. He might only had 20 vines or 10 vines just to see what would work out here.
Wow.
And vinifera really was the one that stood out. And so we planted vinifera, which that's all your true wine grapes. Cab, Pinot Noir, Chardonnay. So his vineyard was in 1968. It's now a state historic site. And we just got through planting 4 acres of Chenin Blanc on it because I love Chenin Blanc, and that's what we make our sparkling wine out of. It's a Cremant, but it's a Prosecco style. We do it as Charmat. And so then we're planting 4 more acres of Sangiovese next year, and that's it on that vineyard. And that's called
so this is in the 60s, right?
68. 1968, he bought a piece of land outside of the city limits. His vineyard's now in the city limits. And he planted all these, he had 15 acres, and he planted 140 varieties. I mean, everything. He had all the Munson varieties. If y'all know about TV Munson, he's the guy that saved the French from their disease with the rootstock. Phylloxera. And he sent over boatloads, which the French gladly accepted. Now we don't know that guy. But they gave him the Legion of Honor, and his monument is huge there in Denison, Texas. So anyway, it's been a long road, and my dad started all this, and I'm just took it up, and you can read on the back of my label. We dedicated this to my dad, and my little brother's a winemaker, but my older brother's a school teacher. So, but my wife, who's from Los Angeles, she has her own winery, which is right across the street from me. But it's not really a winery; it's her Spanish tapas place, because her dad was from Spain, and so we make her wines for her over here, but she has that over there. So anyway,
Las Espinas, right?
No, that's my daughter's label.
That's your daughter.
Hers is called La Diosa, and we
Okay.
make her sangria. So, but we concentrate on varieties that work here. I love the old world style. I do not like high alcohol wines that have been, I don't know, concentrated or, late harvest type. We like to do old world stuff. Anything over 14.
How did
I like 13.8, 13.9 reds. They live longer, they taste better, and we use a Dion cork out of, this is the French gift to us, which is you look at the cork, you'll never have TCA out of this cork. It's unbelievable. Look at it, it's incredible. This is a Dion, you look at it, and you start looking at corks from around the world, see the little label that says Dion 10. That is a 10 guaranteed 10-year cork right there, or they'll buy your production. And this cork has no TCA in it. It's a process. It's real cork. They grind it up. They took me to France so I could preach the gospel, but I'd already been using it for 5 years. But lovely cork, and that's what it's here.
all right. Well, let's get back to Texas real quick. So, when your dad planted, how early? I mean, as far as I understand Texas viticulture history, that is at the very beginning of its. I mean, there's been
the Spanish stuff here way back in the 1500s.
Right, but what I'm thinking is like the modern Texan wine industry, as far as that goes, that is around the time when that was starting to take off, or when that was starting to build up.
No, it took off really the Texas wine industry took off in about probably 2005, 2004. It really took off then, big time down in Fredericksburg in the Hill Country. My dad was a real pioneer, and when my dad started Llano Estacado Winery, that was about the only winery there, and then it grew from there. And for years there was only probably 20 wineries, and then all of a sudden it just boomed. Now there's over 700 wineries in the state, so varying in size, but it really took off then, and grape growing got to be very, I guess, popular, or pretty, or
so
whatever.
Your dad is essentially one of the OGs,
pioneer, the big guy,
pioneers at the beginning of the Texas kind of the planting.
I don't think he ever realized how big it would get.
Yeah.
But one of his goals was to have Texas wine in at least 30 states. I've been on the East Coast for 14 years. I'm so proud of that. So proud of that.
So you should be.
Anyway,
I want
to hear what the people want to say. I want to hear their comments. I want to hear questions. Ask me questions. They had a big old cat. What's that cat's name? The big kitty cat, the couple there, Julia.
That's Dottie.
Yeah, the cat's name.
He's the boss.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have questions. I'm a native Austinite. My parents have actually partied down with you in Lubbock.
No.
They love your tasting room. If you ever see a giant Bolivian man there again, that's his dad.
Oh, well, good. I appreciate that.
I would ask, so I'm like struck by your comments about like growing what grows in Lubbock. Like, I don't know that the rest of the people on this call like appreciate what the Texas High Plains is like. Like, it's not a very fertile place. It's not close to a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious about what does grow there, and like helping people understand what it actually looks like there.
Because I think also, I mean, like when we were, I mean, he's from Austin, but I lived there for a while, and we would go to all the like cute wineries that are out in the hill country, and you're like, oh, so cool. And then they were all getting their grapes from the High Plains, like all the good ones are, right? Like,
well, my dad was instrumental in making the Texas High Plains a federal AVA, and there's over 1 million acres in that thing right there, and it's what makes it good and makes it one of the best. Well, it is the best area in Texas. Is that we're up about 3,500 feet, and it goes up in altitude as you go west and north. and we have very little humidity, and we are in a semi-arid climate, and so grapes like in Spain and parts of Italy that love the heat and they don't like the humidity. Grapes don't like humidity. A lot of disease problems when you get humidity. And so we have this good, beautiful growing area right up here. Now, we do have our problems. We do have spring frost. We do have hailstorms, which are around the world now. And we've escaped all that this year again. And we have, it's like there's an unbelievable amount of fruit this year. It's very pretty fruit. The harvest this year is incredible, I think. So it's just an area in Texas that works really well for grapes.
So Kim, so until I tasted or I became familiar with your wine, I've only heard of the hill country in terms of
Right, because it's so
Texas
pretty
wine.
down there. It's all pretty. It's real pretty.
But is it true that I also heard not only quality wise, really the high plains because of the diurnal shift that you were talking about and the arid climate and all of that, but also the actual percentage, the majority of the wine produced in Texas actually comes from high plains.
But
not
about 85% of the grapes grown in Texas go down there.
Did you say 85% are grown in high plains?
Goes to all the wineries in the rest of the state. We
Got it.
supply 85% of the grapes.
Ah, wow. Okay.
No,
I also did not know that there were 8 AVAs in Texas.
yes, and
Most of these I actually don't know. It's only in
there's a
Texas.
couple of even small ones in the hill country. So AVAs,
All right.
but the hill
Right.
country is really pretty. There's a lot of tourists there, and I actually am a part of a winery there with 2 other wineries. Me and my buddies we started called 4.0. We don't make wine there, but we sell our wine through that tasting room because there's over 1 million people come through that little place every year. It's the second behind Napa. It's all down. It's it's beautiful. It's like if the Gulf of Mexico was as cold as the Pacific, that would be like the most unbelievable grape growing area you've seen. But it's
That makes
not,
sense.
so we can't go there.
Wow. It's did you say this is the second most visited wine region after Napa in the country?
Yes,
Wow.
the Texas Hill Country. Yes,
Wow. That's
over
incredible.
1 million people come through that thing a year to all the wineries. There's where most of the wineries are, right there in Texas.
Got it.
Scattered
How
out
about-
from up in
how about-
Barnett all the way down.
Okay. And how about some of these I don't want to, maybe it's insulting call them satellite, but maybe some of the smaller
Oh, the
AVA.
Texas Davis Mountains, yeah.
Yeah, that one.
There's a few vineyards there. There's a couple of wineries out there. That's really pretty country. That's where Marfa is, but very dry and very harsh. And when you get a thunderstorm, you're always going to get hail there.
Mm.
It goes without saying. So, but very pretty. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I
also had no idea there's
my
AVA.
buddy owns the ghost town in Terlingua. So if you ever go there,
Heard.
it's way down there.
No. I also had no idea there's AVA next to El Paso. This area,
The Mesilla Valley, part of it's in New Mexico, part of it's in Texas.
Got it.
Very small though, very small.
Okay.
So
there you go, folks. This, Texas, 8 different AVAs. I had no idea. Learn something new every day.
see that Gulf Coast area down there? There's a few varieties from Florida that grow there really well. One of them is called Blanc de Bois, and it's developed in Florida. Loves the humidity, loves the heat, and it makes a pretty nice white wine if you do it right. You can't pick it late. You pick it early, and it's really pretty. There are a couple of guys down there making a very nice job of it. Hack Vineyards is very good.
Cool. in terms of the high plains, what are some of, I mean, you've mentioned some hills and whatnot, but what are some of like the advantages and like disadvantages and challenges that you face here compared to other AVAs within
Well,
Texas?
you have very high humidity down here in the hill country. And whenever you get one of those little high hill country rains, you're going to have to get in your vineyard and spray for fungicides because you will get hit pretty hard.
Yeah.
So every time you get a little shower down there, you gotta spray. Up here, we'll get a little shower in a vineyard. It's dried out and right after it's gone. So we're almost in a thing where we have a organic type thing. I'm not saying we're fully organic, but these guys rarely spray for disease problems. We don't have a lot of insect pressure and disease problems, not a lot. The disease problems that we have come in the grapevines, like red leaf virus or the viruses that come out of the nursery. So these guys that have disease have they got it from the nurseries. So you have to be real careful where you get your vines from. So
Are you,
As a girl who's been watching Landman like back to back, I'm just curious, like, can you talk about the terroir of Texas? Because there's got to be something about dinosaur bones in this wine, right? Or no? I don't know.
well, not where we are, but down in Midland, where the Landman's film, it's a different thing. It's a basin. It's called the Permian Basin, and it's very dry and it's very hot and it's very harsh. And there's been a couple of guys that tried to plant vineyards down there, but it just doesn't work. Vines, they either thrive or they exist, and they just existed there. So guys stopped growing it down there, and then so we don't have that. You see that a lot around Texas. Up here, we have incredible soils, and it's like we call it sandy loam, and so these vines go very deep. Everything is drip irrigated. We don't irrigate all the time, but when we do, it's drip. And so
You said it's sandy. That's what the
very
sand.
sandy soil. Yes. So the roots go very deep. Sometimes you don't even water all season. It depends on how much moisture is in the ground and how much you received in the winter. But generally, these guys will probably irrigate once or twice a year, unless it's really, really hot. Then they may irrigate 4 or 5 times. So it just depends. You don't want to irrigate a lot, but you want to keep the vine going.
Struggling, right?
Yeah, because the fruit then, and then if you get a big rain or it's a very rainy season, the vine uptakes the moisture so quick that the berries will pop open. You don't want that.
You don't want that.
So you want to have your vineyard sort of dry, but right on the edge to produce the fruit.
especially with a sandy soil, I assume the drainage
Right.
is pretty good.
It just goes straight down.
It has a lot
You may
more.
get a 3-inch rain, and the next day you go, "What happened to the water?"
Nice.
Because it went right down. But the vine knows where it is.
So I think I heard this or read this in an article, interview that you did actually. I think you were talking about how Texas has some of the most number of wild indigenous varieties
they do.
in America. A lot of it because of this sandy soil.
A lot of the creek beds. There's a lot of creeks, a lot of these wild vines. When I was at Davis, there was a couple of professors that wrote the Bible on viticulture there, and they would send graduate students to Texas to look for these wild grapevines because this is what was disease resistant to stuff that true vinifera. True vinifera is like this pretty little thing, and it's so pretty, and then it gets planted in the soil, and then boom, something whacks it. you know, it's either phylloxera or fungus or whatever. And so these grapevines that are indigenous, they're all immune to that stuff. And so they would graft onto them. And this is where a lot of, there's so many, the grafts now, they got so many numbers, like, I don't even know the numbers. There's tons of them that they graft onto. Some of them they're good for salty soils. Some are good for clay soils. Some are good for this. Some are good for that. And so everybody has a different thing, and that's how they plant a vine now. Is that you test your soil and you'll go, well, I'm going to have that AXR number 2 now as a rootstock, and I have to graft my Cabernet onto that to plant this vineyard so it'll grow. If not, it'll die. So this is what it's a big business.
So,
So
Dave, did you have a question?
you said that the Spaniards were growing grapes in that area in the 1500s. Are you still doing any of their wine?
Well, yes,
Great.
there's a variety called Black Spanish,
Mission grape.
Black Spanish, and there's a couple of wineries down on the border. Valverde down there is a winery in Del Rio that is he makes port out of it. They brought it over from Spain. I would have to get the Bible out that Jancis Robbins wrote about all the DNA on the varieties. But yes, there's still some that's grown. It grew very well, and that's what they called it. And they make port out of it. It makes better port than red wine. So yes, it's still grown. And they were all over those missions. There's a mission in San Antonio that's on a UNESCO World Heritage Site that there's some vines there that were brought over that they replanted them, but they got cuttings from stuff just to, fill it in. But yes, it's there.
Yeah, I mean, along with your native wild indigenous variety, like I'm willing to bet there's a ton of old mission grapes that are still being grown in Texas.
Yes,
Maybe
there's
hasn't been
a lot of stuff. I don't know about mission.
Yeah.
There might be some mission. I don't know if they did any DNA testing or not, but there's some old vines that were,
Yeah.
still brought over.
Sure.
All these missions down down in South Texas, they had grapevines. They had to
Yeah.
make wine for communion. They had to.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
So
Dave, did you have
that's a
another
good
question?
question. That's a good question.
Kim,
Anybody else?
Kim, this is great. A quick question. You mentioned Chenin Blanc at the beginning of your remarks. And that piqued my interest because I was just in the Loire last week. And I was a little surprised you mentioned that, because it would seem like that wouldn't necessarily be something that would be successful where you are. Talk to me a little bit more about how that works, because, the Loire is very different from where you guys are now. And I know that's
Well, it's very different than in California too, but
true.
Chenin Blanc to me is a very God, the grape does incredibly well here, and I love it. And actually, it's one of my varieties that's been on Jose Andreas's restaurant at Oyamel for a long time by the glasses, the Chenin Blanc. It grows, it's a huge producer here. If you don't watch it, it'll give you 12 tons to the acre. It's a big variety. We don't do that. I'm short of Chenin Blanc. I was making Chenin Blanc here, then everybody decided they'd make Chenin Blanc, and now you can't hardly find it. But I love the grape. I make my sparkling wine out of it. I make a still wine of it, and you should try that. It's beautiful. I don't do a lot of it. I only do about 400 cases of it, but love it. I love that grape. It loves the heat. It gives you a great bruised apple, honey, tone on it that's unbelievable. I guess the warm climate does that to it, but I don't know. It works here. It doesn't work.
It's we were talking about this before you all hopped on, and one of the things I was saying to Kim was that yes, all these warm climate varieties that he grows. No one, I mean, of course they do very well. And also, I will like to say, like where Kim is, High Plains, is not as hot as we all think Texas is. Because
No,
it's still
it's
up
not.
on the elevation. He's still got that diurnal shift. Like you were just saying last night, it got down to 60s, right?
It's 62 this morning.
Yeah, 62 this morning was 88. So there's a diurnal swing. It's not this hot, like, desert Texas that we think it is, because it's also an elevation of about like 3,000 feet, 4,000 feet, or whatnot. Having said that, I've always been struck by these cool climate varieties that he grows. So he grows Albarino, he grows Chenin Blanc, all these things that we associate with the cooler climates. And we've built this kind of reference point of those wine varieties in those cool climates. And it is unmistakably a New World, much fleshier, juicier style of those varieties. But one of the common thread that Kim's cool climate varieties carries through all of that is that they all have this searing acidity that shows through, which gives all the balance to the fruit and the sugar. So it's like, it gives this like incredible, unique stylistic expression of that variety. It's fascinating, because it's not what you think of it as a Loire Chenin. It's not what you think of it as the Vino Verde, Galicia, Albarino, but it is nonetheless that kind of like the kind of the bloodline that you see in this variety, that the searing acidity, kind of like the edginess, the angular side of it shows through, but it's just much fleshier, richer.
And that's what I like to think about it. It's a kind of an oily, or has a bit of viscosity to it from the warm, and it's almost a bigger wine than you would think. But God Almighty, I love that Chenin Blanc that we made the 24. That's one of my. I drink a lot more white wine than I do red, and that's one of my favorites. Now we corked that one. Now that's one wine that I will cork, and I love that one. I don't know I think Andrew has some of that, but back there I don't know. So
Andrew does have some of it.
But I will always make Chenin Blanc, and I am so proud of you to go to the Loire. And I have the sparkling is Chenin Blanc, so I like to call it the Cremant de Loire, and it's incredible. I love it. It's all Chenin Blanc. It makes it so beautiful. So it'll always be Chenin Blanc too.
So we talked about Texas and we talked about your dad, but we haven't talked about you a second. So I kind of want to give folks a picture of how you got started, right? So your dad is a pioneering figure in the Texas wine industry. You grew up in Texas. Did you grow up in the household? Like, did you always love wine? Did you always know that you wanted to get into wine? Like, how did you end up going Davis for
my dad was making wine in the garage, and my older brother he would siphon off wine, and him and his buddies would sweeten it up, and then Doc would go, "Where'd this wine go?" And my older brother, I have a food science degree from Texas Tech, and that's one of those things where it's, I used to be proud of, but just like, we invent stuff that's probably maybe not good for you, but it tastes good, like Doritos and stuff like that. And, but my dad lost his winemaker at Llano Estacado Winery. And he said, you got to come back out of Napa. Man, I didn't want to leave Napa. I was working at Trefethen Vineyards, loved it. I love Napa. I said, man, he called in all the markers. And so I went back, and that's how it started. But anyway, but I went back after, that's another story. But I got involved in it, and my dad got me in, and he said, I think you're going to love to do this. And it was like boom, right off the bat. And I just loved it. And there was one sign in an old winery in Lodi when I was at Davis, and we went over there to visit this winery, and there was a big sign over the tasting room door that says, "Wine is food." And I went, I can dig that. I am hip to that. And so that was sort of my motto: wine is food. And You know, the wine business now is down about 25% worldwide. It's not just the United States, it's not just Texas. It's because the young people, I don't think they know how to enjoy wine with food.
Yeah.
And I think we all need to be disciples and go out and preach this because they don't know. I mean, God, if you go to Europe and you travel around and you know, God, you go to these cafes and it's like, oh man, they don't know what they're missing. And if we just need to do more educating, and I know this is on my soapbox, it's about me. It's about me, okay, about getting on our soapbox, and we need to preach. You know, you don't need to bring 3 bottles. You know, just have a couple of glasses of wine. You know, and enjoy food with your wine. And I think that's what they miss. I don't know. They get wine delivered, Uber Eats, and all that. You know, it doesn't mean you don't have to have a glass of wine. And we need to make it more approachable to them again. I guess that's what I'm saying. So
I mean,
there.
I agree.
like I was actually gonna, first of all, this is the wrong demographic for you to be talking to.
Oh, I know. I
Don't
don't
understand
know, Cam. But
either.
y'all go out and preach.
But you know, I was like, first of all, I just want to say thank you so much for making the time to meet with us today.
Oh, no problem.
My best friend lives in Houston, and she tells me about when she goes wine tasting in Texas, and I'm sort of like, you have no palate, so I don't trust anything that you say. So it's it was, and then you know, Un came up with this idea of the Grape American wine tour, and the timing is just so perfect because I also just came back from France, where all of the wine is now going to have a 15% tariff, and you know, I mean, it's just like the idea of like the if there is a positive thing that could come out of what these tariffs are, it's something like the story of what you're trying to build. And I I I I feel like I'm in a dark place on a lot of stuff in America right now, but you are a bright spot. Like I love this wine. I think this is delicious. I'm surprised by it.
So you're surprised.
Why?
I
And
get that all the time.
and I want to help, and I want, and like this is like at the end of the day, what Trump is trying to do is trying to help American producers sell more of what they're producing, right? And create an industry in places where we didn't think they existed. And here's an area where I love it. I love wine, and I can be helpful. So I want to be helpful. And first of all, thank you for finding us. I'm not an influencer or anything, but I do think like,
Well, you know, one voice hits 4 ears, and then 4 ears hits 8 ears, and then 8 ears it's 16 ears. So
yeah,
that's
so
what
there you go. So I guess like back to the whole, I'm still not understanding the geography of Texas. Like, I'm sorry if this is like taking you back to the whole thing. So you're telling me there are mountains
there are mountains in Texas, but not near me.
not near where you are.
No.
So
You have the Davis
I
Mountains.
thought there was like elevation necessary
Well,
for,
now we are on a very flat plain. We're on the Cap Rock. If I
okay.
go right over here and I'm pointing over here to the east,
Uh-huh.
if I go over here about 10 miles, I'm going to drop off 1,500 feet just like that.
Oh, really?
It keeps dropping off. Now I go down to Houston, they're only about 400 feet above sea level. I'm 3,500 feet.
Okay. So
So
you're just higher
I'm
out.
high.
Okay.
High and dry, no humidity. The thunderstorms build up right off the Cap Rock. You can see them. They never get over here sometimes. Our weather comes from the west.
Okay.
We have any kind of rain, it comes from the mountains from New Mexico. in 4 hours from here, I could be up 10,000 feet.
So all the skiing is just next to you, is what you're telling me.
Liz, it's
West
like
of me,
it's like the flattest place you've ever seen. Love it.
Yeah, but what I do
It
It is very high and very.
I can
Yeah,
see
like-
the horizon. I can see, we love it. You know, out here the wind blows, but when the wind blows, you know, we're the kind of people that blows into you, you're less likely to take a bow. So, you know,
It's less of a peak, it's more of a plateau. It's like high point.
So
it
you just,
goes, and as further that you go west, it keeps going up. Like if I was at the state line over there, it'd probably be about 3,700 feet.
Yeah.
You just keep going. You can go to Ruidoso, which is 4 hours from here, and you're up 10,000 feet. So you keep going up north of here, and I can go to Santa Fe. Then there you are, Taos,
Yeah.
Santa Fe. I'm really actually we're closer to Taos than I am to Austin.
well, that's what sort of like made me think about the elevation, because like Taos is a great ski resort.
Yes, and it's an incredible little town. It's like Santa Fe was about 50 years ago. So, but
Yeah.
that's where we are. But we're
Is
flat.
that an adventure like I could do? Like I go skiing in Taos and then scoop around to see you guys.
Come
Like,
down, you go down to Marfa, then you could go down to Terlingua where the ghost town is. It's desert down there. It'd be like incredible. You go to Marfa and then take the road down to the border down there and take that little. It's the most. It's unbelievable. Can't even.
You can eat mountain, winery, desert, and the coast.
Everything, yeah.
And all in one
Yeah,
place.
like in the same in December or January, you're
Oh,
saying?
yeah,
Even?
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
cool.
when it's real pretty down there in the desert,
Dad, we should do this.
down in Terlingua, and you go to the Starlight Theater down there and see all these guys like Joe Ely, and it's like it's cool.
Oh.
It's a hip
What?
scene. Marfa is a hip scene. You need to look up Marfa,
Okay.
the hip scene. It's cool. And there's
Marfa,
a restaurant
okay.
there that we make the house wine for called Cochinelle, which is
Okay.
the red color off the bug. And she's a James
Marfa. Okay.
too.
There's a lot of artists, Donald Judd. There's the Chinati
I've heard of
Foundation
Yes.
in Marfa. So it's a very hip destination for
Yeah. I
folks
have heard
that
of Marfa. Yeah.
want to get to
And
West
they
Texas and
have
see some art.
the magazine called Chinati. It's the
Yeah.
big magazine. I love that magazine. It's incredible. Yeah. See, she's been there. She's hip.
Cool.
So
Cool.
Marfa is a destination that is on my bucket list of wanting to see. My ex-husband went to Texas Tech, and we have like lots of family in the hill country, so I've spent a lot of time there. But I did not know about this whole the wine country thing, so I'm now very intrigued as well.
There you go. There you go.
Marfa was the coldest spot in Texas today at 58 degrees this
Yeah.
morning.
Well, speaking of all the wines as food and all the stuff, let's actually taste the wine. I want to hear what you think of this wine. I want to hear about also the technical side of making this wine, but also I want to hear about this Lahey vineyards, and particularly the Portla Blanc. What makes this special for this Grenache?
Oh, these guys are a bunch of old cotton farmers that turned into grape farmers, but they got smart real quick. This is a Grenache. We have 4 acres of Grenache in this block, and so we took, I don't know, 2 rows, and this was a pretty dark Grenache for Grenache. Grenache can be very dark or it can be very light. We actually have 2 acres of Grenache Blanc with these guys too, that we put in our Rhone white blend. And we had this Grenache came in and it was so nice and so pretty. This is the one we started out with. This is the first Grenache in the block series. Actually, it was one of the first wines in the block series. And it is so to me, very old world. We love this wine. I think we're probably out of this one now. I don't know, but
You know what's interesting that you say this is a very old world, and I had a bottle of a Chateau de Pop that I had opened, and it was clocking in at 16.5%.
whoa!
Yeah, exactly. And to talk about old world, yet the old world wine is 16.5, and this new world wine is 13.8. To talk about how hot Southern Rhone in France has gotten.
Can get. I'm surprised the French didn't water it down a little bit.
100%, 100%. I was shocked at how high the alcohol was.
Well, this fruit, after we did all our work in the vineyard, I always put the production on here too. We did 230 cases. That's it. So that's only about 10 barrels, and well, no, about 8 barrels really. So it was a pretty fruit. We have not been able to reproduce this. We did one in 22, which was a little bit lighter than this. But other than that, we have not been able to. It has not come in to where we like. Oh God, this is beautiful.
So again,
It's
one of the
nice
reasons
fruit, but it'll get blended out.
yeah. And how are you keeping Grenache at 13.8? Because I mean, it's notoriously can get pretty hot and big when you let it kind of ripen, let it sit, especially in a warmer climate. Are you picking earlier? How are you controlling the sugar development?
Well, no, there's a lot of argument. You can say look at the seeds, and we look at if they're brown, and da 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 da. I pick for sugar, and I pick for alcohol.
Yeah.
And if the grape is at 23.5 and 24, and it's going to give me 13.9, that's when we're going to pick. I'm not going to pick this stuff where it's going to, it's the seeds aren't ripe, and the seeds and then blah. No. It's where the fruit is for me. And you pick it real late, and you're going to get this kind of a raisiny character. I don't like that. I want it fruit forward. I don't want a lot of oak in it. This was about 15% new French oak. This is to me, if I put a brown bag over this and I presented it to you people and said, you'd probably think this is maybe from the Rhone, and that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
Say, is this Rhone? Maybe. To me, it has this old world character. It has this sort of a meat. I don't know. It just red meat kind of a thing. Has pencil shavings. And it's kind of a Grenache to me.
Yeah, to me, what I appreciate about this wine is there's this incredible juicy ripeness to the fruit, right?
But not overripe.
What's it?
Not overripe.
Not overripe, perfectly ripe, exactly. Juicy, ripe, perfectly ripe. But in just tasting that fruit, that amount of ripeness, you would think there's going to be a lot of sugar development. If anything, I may think maybe it's going to be hot. The fact that this is 13.5%, the alcohol is in check. The acid is great. Grenache is notoriously not a high acid grape. The fact that acid is there.
Oh God, no! It's. I mean, I'm going to be real honest with you. We add acid. We have to add tartaric. When I was at Caprock Winery, I had Rene Barbier Jr. as an intern. He is at Clos Mogador. If you had any of his wines, big, tall, handsome kid. Back then he was a kid, not now. And he's in the Prioria in Spain. And I said, "You add acid?" "Oh, we have to add acid." When a wine comes in at pH 4, you're going to have to add acid, because if you ferment it without that, it will be not very good. We call it soapy. And
All
so
right, so that makes
must
sense.
adjust the pH to the wine before you ferment it, or it will just not be very good.
Okay.
And so every warm climate region adds acid. That's why all the tartaric acid comes from Spain and Italy, the best. So how much do you have to add to this? It depends. You may have to add 1 gram per liter. You may have to add 3 grams per liter, but you must get the pH up prior to fermentation, or it just will not be it won't be a very good wine.
Where do you get the pH down to? Fermented, just out of curiosity, like
The
3.4?
pH on this, if it was this pH was like 3.7, we'd probably bring it down to like 3.6.
Oh, okay. So
It's
still
not very much.
Yeah, not much. Okay.
If it's pH 3, if it's pH 4, you're going to have to work with that. And we'll work in the lab and go, well, we're going to have to add 2.5 grams per liter tartaric.
Got it.
Bring it down to a level. You don't want to, and some people go, you're manipulating the wines. This is what warm climate fruit gives you.
Yeah.
You cannot make it without tartaric. And I don't care. We don't use tartaric. They're liars.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. And then after that, after you get it adjusted, then your yeast are very happy. They love it, and they're just pretty. And
Yeah.
yes, I do not do natural fermentations.
Yeah.
This is a yeast from France that we call. Actually, this is a Spanish yeast. I don't know the name of it, but all yeast were wild at one time. So I go to a winery. This guy goes. The guy goes in there and he goes, "Man, this is so beautiful. What yeast should we use?" Well, we don't know. We just wild. So they go, "We need some of the leaves." So they collect the yeast leaves, and then they grow this yeast, and they name it after her, and it just, and then they start culturing this yeast, and it becomes, oh, that guy used that yeast, and that Grenache is so beautiful, and that's what you buy. And yeast is not cheap. A little 500 gram thing of it's probably $100.
Yeah.
But it was the yeast that was once wild that went into that.
Yeah.
You can't afford, as a winery owner, I can't afford to use wild yeast. And it goes bad. And I just bought my $2,000 a ton fruit from this couple. I'm screwed.
Yeah.
So no, I don't do that. I use
no.
And
I mean,
you know
you and I
what?
were
It's all
talking about-
French and it's all Spanish and it's all beautiful. So that's what we do. I don't
Yeah,
know
I mean, you and I were talking
intentions.
about your natural wine for a little bit before folks came on, but at the end of the day, this has always been my line. Sure, this is a natural wine club. These are the kind of things that I have advocated for. But at the end of the day, I don't even like to use the word natural wine anymore. It's like, because what does that even mean? There's no meaning. But really, what I'm advocating for is transparency, right? Like, I just want people to tell people, yeah, what it is that how you're making your wine. And at the end of the day, as a consumer, you can make a decision about whether you like that or you don't like that, you want that or you don't want that. But, I no longer stand in this position of like, oh, you use a lab grown yeast. Like, I'm not drinking that.
Well, and I got to say that about our vineyards. We're not old enough to have a wild yeast family of yeast in our vineyards yet. You know what I'm saying? We're not there yet. And it may take another 20 years. We use a yeast called Rhone 4600 for all our white Rhone wines. And that was from what's the winery that has the Vineyard? You got to help me out here in my mind. What is it? Costernel? Who is it? I can't remember. Anyway, that yeast came from their winery.
Yeah.
They cultured it. The French did, and boom, there you go.
Right.
So
Yeah, I mean, it's something to be said about, again, exactly what you're talking about. So like just a preview for folks. Next week we have Bedell Cellars that's coming on, and then they've made almost like a mother culture of their wild yeast from like seashells and like flowers they've picked and other shit all across around their vineyard. They're using that as a starter. At that point, like, is that any better than picking out a lab grown yeast? Like at any point, when does it become more of a holier than thou? This yeast strain is better than the other. And again, it's not necessarily to me about making a judgment about whether you use wild yeast or not. It's more
the thing about yeast, Dune, is that it's all about the alcohol they produce, but the hydrolysis of the yeast and the flavors, they go away shortly after I mean, they're done, so to speak. And so you don't have a lot of that. It's all about, you don't want a stuck fermentation. You don't want a stinky fermentation. You want a clean, nice, beautiful fermentation. So your wine is clean and nice. And so the people who are buying it going, what the hell happened here? Well, no. I had beautiful fruit. Why do I want to screw it up? Like, well, this yeast came from grasshoppers and flowers.
Love it.
Rocks.
So, having said that,
no. We want to make this pretty. It's a pretty wine.
Agreed. I 100% agree. I think I heard you say this.
Weed and do something else, I guess. I'm just saying that, I'm not a dirty wine producer. I'll tell you a quick story.
Would you filter your wine?
I made wine for Dave Finney, who started The Prisoner. We made a TX. Dave came to Texas. We started that, and now he sold all that to Gallo. And Gallo came to my winery, and they had a lot of rules, which was I was okay with. But guess what? When you make wine for Gallo, you're bona fide. Okay, you're good. And we made TX, which is one of Dave Finney's location wines, for about 7 years. And so that's where you say, no, there's no wild yeast in this. Because when they come in there, they mean business, and I love that. And so we did a great job, but that's all gone now. That's none of my business because that was Gallo's deal. But we still look at that as like a treasure for us. That first off said that we can make wine in this state of Texas, and we can do it for Gallo, and they loved it. And so that's a big feather in our cap, saying we can do this. And they may come back and say, hey, we got another project. I don't know that, but at least we did a great job for them, and they were super pleased. My daughter. All right, I'll be there in a minute. I gotta go. Bye. My daughter. Sorry. Anyway, so yes, we'd go by the book, and yes,
that's totally fine. Again, I don't want you to take it. It's like I'm not giving you a judgment call. Again, it's all about transparency.
No. I'm just saying that we take great pride in our wines. They're, you may say, well, they're very clean. Yeah, they're very clean. They're very nice and they're very pretty. And, I don't say that you need to age my wines for 20 years. You know what? I want you to drink my wines. Yeah. And I want you to enjoy them with food. And maybe you can put them back 3 or 4 years and do this, but this one's 5 years old. It's still very pretty. I'm a guy that I'm a friend of the working man. I want you to enjoy my wines. I want you to drink my wines with food and have a good time. If you want to collect wines, I may not be your guy. Okay.
Man of the people.
Maybe we go, gosh, Kim, no, I'm going to be real honest with you. I may not be the guy for you to collect. I'm the guy that you're gonna have a bunch of friends over here to go, taste this shit. This is unbelievable. That's what I want y'all to do.
Love
And
it.
so you go, have you had this stuff? And then, you know what? I've made more friends than you've ever thought about. Collecting wine. Everybody goes, Kim, you must have a huge cellar. Not really. You know, I'm going to tell you a quick story, and it's a true story. Then we probably have to close this off here. But I went to Davis with Gil Nickel, who owns Farniente. He owned Farniente. Great guy. He didn't enroll at Davis. He just took courses under I don't know how he did it, but he lived in San Francisco because he had a wife that was a flight attendant for American Airlines. And this guy would ride his BMW motorcycle to Davis in leather. And anyway, every now and then he'd go, Kim, because he was from Oklahoma. He'd say, Kim, you take notes for me. Took notes for him. So fast forward, I got a buddy going, hey, I'm going to go to Napa. I'm going to Farniente. So I wrote on my card. I said, hey, Gil, you still owe me beer money.
Nice.
He sends me 2 cases of wine, Chardonnay and Cabernet, and said, I don't owe you any more beer money. Try some of my swill. But then 8 months later, he's dead from cancer. So this is how I'm the guy that do I have any of that wine left? Hell no, we drank it. We drank it. We finished it. I don't have it. The only thing I have in my cellar right now is I have a case of Mayacamas Cabernet 18 vintage, because I love Mayacamas, because it's most French style Bordeaux and Napa, in my opinion. They do it old school. It's Mount Beater fruit, and I love it. And it's only about $100 a bottle. It's not that bad. So anyway, now I've got a soapbox.
Well,
This guy right there in the corner has not said anything. He's going, I love this guy.
I can. Well, I know you got to go. So I always like to wrap up these things with a little couple quick fire questions, if you don't mind.
Okay, hit it.
So one is the question that every wine club member gets asked when they join 6 Wine Club. Is one, what was your gateway wine? What was your epiphany wine? And what's the wine that you take with you to a deserted island where the cooling is possible? I know that doesn't make any sense.
So what was the first one? Go over that again.
Gateway wine.
Gateway wine? Probably it was a Zaca Mesa Syrah
Okay.
from the Central Coast.
Okay.
Kind of hit me as a Rhone thing. Beautiful.
Yeah.
And the winemaker I met, and it was incredible. The next wine, which was what?
Epiphany wine.
Epiphany wine? Geez, man, there's been several. You know, I was tripping maybe, you know. Probably, I'll tell you what, was a Chapelet Chenin Blanc.
Oh.
Because my buddy was a vineyard manager there, and it was grown on the east side of Napa, hot, incredible Chenin Blanc. That's when I felt boom.
Wow. I don't think I've ever had a Chapelet Chenin Blanc. Okay.
If you can find it.
What's the wine that you take with you to a deserted island?
The next wine?
Your desert island wine.
Well, I just had it. I was in Napa. My daughter got me a tasting at Harlan with the winemaker, which I knew from Davis. He graduated before us, and she gave me this 2-hour tasting with the winemaker, and we had a 20 Harlan, and now I know why you grow cab in Napa, and now I know why that wine is so expensive, is how they grow it and how they do it, and I know that it's like the first growth in the United States. That was, it was unbelievable. And not because I was there, it was an epiphany.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then
2020
Bob
Harlem.
Levy was there and how they grow their fruit and how they do it. And it was like, oh man, I will never even get close to that, but it was so pretty. And I know why they collect it now. I know my people
Love it.
like that wine. It's like, I go, hey Bob, how about some of this Grenache for the man here, for the working man? Anyway, it was blown away. That was my epiphany moment.
Amazing.
And,
Amazing. Harlan is pretty amazing. Yeah, I do have to
that
say.
was my first taste of Harlan ever.
Ah.
So
It's
my daughter did that for me, and I was blown away.
yeah, there's a reason why Harlan is Harlan.
It is exactly, and it's not just, it's how they grow the fruit. I learned how they do all this, and it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Final question that I have for you. Oh, actually, two more. One is if you had a metaphorical billboard where millions of people drive by it every day, they'll see it every day as they drive by. You can put on any image, any message, any quote, anything you want on there, picture. What would you put on there?
I would put, start enjoying wine with your meals. Okay?
Love it.
Have wine with your meals. I don't care if you're having mac and cheese with spam and green peas. Have a glass of wine. It doesn't hurt. Learn how to enjoy wine with food.
Love it.
People know how good it tastes with food. Would you rather have a Dr. Pepper right now with, something? No. I'm getting
I
drunk.
love it.
Leave me alone. I'm getting drunk. All right, next question.
So final question, and then
Okay.
maybe this is not a quick fire question, but as a son of a pioneer and a pioneer himself, what would your dad say about Texas wine scene and what you're doing now, and where is Texas wine headed from now?
My dad would be blown away about how big it's become and about where McPherson and his wines are in several states, those 5 states now. I think he would be so pleased, but I'm not pleased yet. Okay. I'm working on some stuff, and I'm working on it where Texas wines, I hope, will be in a lot more states. I can't tell you, but I'm working on stuff. All to say is that we can make wine here, and you've had it, and we can do this. It's just that you got to get all come together now.
Yeah. Well, Harlan, well, first of all, any questions?
I want to say thank you so much for your wine club and all you people here for, golly, it's just amazing. Come see us every now. If you come here, it's, just have, I want you to see it. And it takes, I need 30 of you guys.
Love it. Yeah. I mean,
We don't.
Be careful what you offer, because people
They
will come and knock on your door.
Look at all you. You know what? You have a cool thing here. You get a wine club, and you get such cool shit. It's unbelievable.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Man.
Any questions for Kim?
I mean, just
Folks?
Go ahead, Phil
Or Joe?
or Joe.
Well,
Sorry.
you can always join the wine club, and come back. I just want to comment like this. I totally agree. I was thinking like, if you told me this was some Beaujolais on a blind taste, I would totally agree. This is great. I never had wine from Texas, and I'm pretty impressed. I just had a question about all these vines that you and your dad planted. I'm just curious, what are the oldest vines you're still producing from? I think you mentioned the 1983 Sangiovese, and some of those oldest vines. What have you noticed over the years how they're changing in their taste profile?
Well, that's a good question. And we just cleared out my dad's vineyard. We cut down Sangiovese vines from 84. They're about this big around, and I'm selling them to help pay for part of the fencing around the vineyard for, the state historic site. And you have to have a turn in so they can read the sign. So we're selling that, and you get the last vintage off that. I only did 120 cases or 130 cases of the 2022 Sangiovese Sagmore. And so that wine is unbelievable. It's darker than I've ever seen a Sangiovese, but we only got like a ton to the acre. And so you see a lot of the older the vines, it is true, the older the vines, the less produced off of it. You get incredible flavors and I don't know, it's just beautiful. But those vines played out, and so they're gone. But the vines right now, there's a guy that has, quick story, he has 86 planted, 1986 Muscat Camellia. These vines are gigantic. And I always wanted to make a dry Muscat. And I made a dry Muscat from an older vineyard, I don't know, 5 years ago. The Psalms bought it all. I could leave it outside the winery and people wouldn't steal it. A bone dry Muscat. I had Psalms going, I passed my exam with a Muscat like that from Spain. And, so the guy calls me up the other day, Larry, hey, I got this old Muscat. I said, Larry, I wished I could make it dry. I don't want to do it again. It was so, my master song buddies took it to England and it was in these magazines. No, I won't do it again. But it's incredible when it's older. But that's getting into your question, yes.
Thanks.
Yeah, we just had a dry Muscat from Malaga, from Spain.
That was gone.
The last month's box, and yeah, it was.
That might have been the Muscat.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't give it away in the tasting room. Muscat was supposed to be sweet. It's supposed to be sweet. No, it was incredible. It was bone dry. God, the songs ended up buying me out. All these songs all over the state. It got, Kim, we want 5 cases. I want 3 cases. Gone.
Just taken across the street to your wife's place, and it would have worked great with food.
It probably would have worked.
There you go. Yeah.
Dave, did you have a question?
I mean, just to say, I love Grenache, and this is a really amazing Grenache.
Yeah.
So
thank you. And,
Can you answer Julia's question? She asked what you would drink with a barbecue.
Me?
Barbecue.
I drink my Tre Calori. My Tre Calori is a red wine that is, you can find it in DC. It's Cinsault, Carignan, and Vineyard. And there's no oak in it. And we bottle it very young. And it's my answer to a Beaujolais, but it's beautiful. That's what I drink with barbecue.
Cool.
Screw cap. I love screw cap. Light. It's very light in color. It's pretty. It's just.
I haven't tasted that one, so I'll look forward to it. I'll ask Andrew for it.
I think you do a Kim month.
Yeah, just all McPherson. Any other questions? Any other comments?
Thank you all for coming.
All right.
Thank you.
Kim,
Yes, sir.
thank you so very much for your time.
I'm coming to DC.
Please let me know. Let Andrew know, and I'll let him know.
We're gonna do.
meet
We're
you
gonna
in
go.
person for sure.
Go to
party.
DC. I love it.
And
a very good
yeah,
party.
I mean, You have been very generous with your time. You have been very open and forthcoming. Thank you for answering all these questions, showing up today and answering all our questions. And let your last words of enjoy wine with food be heard through the land.
Spread the gospel. Spread the
There you
word.
go. Kim
Spread it
McPherson.
first about wine and then maybe me. Wine.
We're
Drink
in.
wine with food. Enjoy it.
Thank you, Kim.
Look at y'all. Me, y'all are the best.
Thank you.
But I
Thank
gotta
you.
go. I gotta go. My daughter called me. I gotta go.
You do.
So
There you go. Well, again,
right.
thank you, Kim. Appreciate it.
Thanks,
And please,
guys.
seriously, do let me know next time you're in DC.
You'll know. Bye-bye.
Have a nice night, Kim. All right.
I'm taking this glass with me.
Turn up the